Welcome to the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. It's just me and Greg today with Joey running the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
It is incredibly weird and quiet in the CHGO
we're
studios.
We're literally the only 3 people in the building today. All the lights are off. It's a little spooky. I get the feeling of like that. We're doing one of those late night West Coast post game shows right now, but it's 1:30 in the afternoon.
It was weirder before you guys got here. I was sitting in the dark. I was like, they're gonna get here and think I'm a weirdo. I got to turn some lights.
We already knew that.
Yeah, that's not why we think you're a weirdo.
That's why we like you.
We actually got some stuff to get to. It's funny, Greg. Like the difference between day 1 of training camp and day 2 of training camp is wildly different. There's like 10 people there as opposed to yesterday where you could barely move in the media room. There's just not a lot going on. It's drills. It's all those sort of things. So, but we do have a little bit of news. Jake McCabe updated his timeline. Jujhar Khaira met the media and spoke today. So there's a bunch to get to. I think the important thing to start with is Jake McCabe. Before we do that, I want to remind everybody, if you're watching us on YouTube, please smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube page. And if you're listening to the traditional audio-only podcast, wherever you're listening, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. And if you're feeling really frisky as the season is upon us, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That would be super, super helpful. If you want to do us a solid, please do that. And, of course, become a member at allchgo.com for access to everything we write, access to our Discord, and, of course, you'll get a free shirt from the CHGO locker when you sign up. So a bunch of stuff we're asking of you, but any of those things are appreciated. All of them, super grateful. All right, Jake McCabe has been on the ice the last 2 days. I tweeted a video this morning at my account at Jay Zawaski of him, I won't say fully participating, but participating in a drill in which there could have been some contact. And from what we understood, Greg, the timeline for McCabe, based on what we knew this morning, was 9 to 12 weeks from now.
Right.
Jake talked to the press after practice and shed a little bit of light on his actual timeline, and it's a little bit sooner than we had expected. This is courtesy of Phil Thompson's Twitter account. He was in the scrum there as Jake was making rounds. Go ahead.
Like I said, I'm not really going to get ahead of myself. It's they said 10 to 12 weeks, so we'll stick to that. So what does that give me? Another 4 weeks from today. We'll see what happens. Opening night, the EDC would be great, but like I said, I still have to do a lot of contact before then, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. And that'll be the real test, is banging bodies out there with an injury like this.
So there you go. 4 weeks from today, which makes a lot more sense when we see Jake McCabe out there competing the way he is.
For sure. I mean, yesterday when we saw him, I was like, is somebody wearing his jersey? Like, this shouldn't happen. This guy just had spinal surgery. But apparently the surgery itself was about 6 weeks ago. So 6 weeks minus the 12. But even that, 4 weeks from now. But he obviously feels good.
Yeah.
He's out there. He's doing the skating. He's putting the work in. He says he's 2 weeks away from contact. There's not a lot of contact going on right now, but obviously you can accidentally, run into somebody and screw yourself up. So taking it easy, but he's not wearing one of the yellow no contact jerseys. Again, they're not really doing any contact drills, but he's feeling good. Good for him. I've over the short period of time we've been around the team, I've got a lot of respect for Jake McCabe for all this, but now this, I mean, he's always been, the few times we met with the media, it's pretty cool now because last year, after morning skate, after games, they brought the player to you, and he sat at a table, and everybody sat in a crammed little locker room and put their recorders up. Now they've opened up the locker rooms, which is just 100 times better.
Yeah.
You can be a little more casual and talk. So, but last year when they would bring him out after tough games, you could tell he wanted to punch a wall, but was very professional. And even today, during towards the end of their session, I don't know if you saw it, a couple little kids behind the other side of the glass. He was trying to flip him a puck over. It kept getting caught in the net.
Oh.
It took him like 5 times, and he finally got it over for the little guy, and then gave him a fist bump through the glass. So just seeing stuff like that. This is a guy that obviously cares about this team and cares about playing, and he is a leader without a doubt. He is one of those guys in that locker room that Luke Richardson's going to rely on to kind of be the guy that helps rally the troops. And a guy like Jake McCabe tells you need to pick it up.
Yeah.
You better listen.
Yeah. Look, if you were at practice and didn't know, let's say everybody was out there in blank jerseys, or you have no idea what happened in the offseason, nothing from watching McCabe on the ice looks like a guy who's hurt.
Right.
And while it wasn't a contact drill, like you said, it's certainly a drill where you could take a hit. You could take a fall. Who do we see fall down during the
it was Gavin Hayes.
Gavin Hayes.
Yeah, he fell and then went into the boards back first. Now, if that happens to McCabe,
now that was just a conditioning drill, which makes me worry about his skating a little bit.
Yeah. He got the loud, enthusiastic, sarcastic cheer from his teammates. He was a little red faced when he got up from that one.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But McCabe looks, as ready as you can go right now. He looks ready, and if opening day at the United Center is a realistic target for him, that's really impressive. Now that's probably pushing it, and he acknowledged as much. But remember, the Hawks open the regular season October 12th in Denver. We'll be there. They don't play at home until the 21st.
Yeah.
So there is some time. But look, if you're even saying early November, that's a win.
Yeah, we were thinking December at the earliest. So that injury appears that window is not as wide open as we thought. It's not as long. So, that's, again, that just makes the injury news we got yesterday for Ian Mitchell even more, disheartening for him.
Yeah.
Knowing that, hey, we thought you had 3 months to earn a spot. Now you only got 1, and you can't even be there for it. So.
Yeah, that's really a tough thing for him. We didn't really get into this yesterday, but as we were hanging around practice yesterday, talking to some people around the team, saying that they really maybe at this point don't even see Ian Mitchell as an NHL player, based on his lack of speed, lack of really being great offensively. He's not good enough defensively. I guess the point would be, if you're not going to come up and be a 50-point offensive defenseman, you can't be as bad defensively as Mitchell is. So we'll see. Maybe he didn't even really have the realistic chance we thought he did, just based on a few conversations we had yesterday. But look, if he did, and he was looking to come out and make an impression, injuring a wrist and being out for 6 weeks it sucks. And it felt like this camp might have been Ian Mitchell's last chance, and now he doesn't have that. And I think it was you yesterday that said it's one thing for Luke Richardson to watch tape of you in Rockford.
Right.
It's a different thing for Luke Richardson to see you play in the preseason and at camp and in person. It's 2 totally different impressions. And for Mitchell to lose out on that opportunity, he could have come in here and blown their doors off and maybe taken a spot that he wasn't expected to take. But now, without that opportunity, you got to worry about the headspace of a kid who's been fighting it. 3 years ago, we were talking about him as a future number 2 defenseman on his team, and now, I don't know. I don't know if he has a future with this team.
Yeah. This is the year for him to make that proclamation that he's an NHL defenseman. Not impossible for him to still do that.
Sure.
This is going to be a year where the roster is going to be fluid from opening night to the last game of the year.
Yes.
There'll be plenty of opportunities for him to get that call up, especially after the trade deadline. We have our guy No Roids Just Rage asking, who Who do you think the Hawks will be keeping after the season? Could they possibly move Murphy or McCabe? Yeah, I think those guys are definite possible trade targets. Yes, they have term left on beyond this year, but very reasonable term. A guy like Connor Murphy, what Stanley Cup contender wouldn't want a veteran guy like that on their team?
4 years left at 4.4 for Connor Murphy.
That's a bargain.
If you're a team, I mean, just look at the way it reminds me a lot of Johnny Oduya, right? It was just made all the sense in the world. Low cost, high performance, great middle pair guy. Connor Murphy, really, like, at the trade deadline, there's gonna be a lot of talk about Kane and Taves type of players, but sometimes it's those Connor Murphy, Johnny Oduya types that make all the difference. And you see a team like Toronto, who has struggled defensively, to bring in Connor Murphy to solidify their top six, that's really solid. Yeah. And it's really cost efficient. The Hawks could realistically maybe eat some of that money if they wanted to. They got nothing but cap space. Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world.
He's a guy that could be very attractive. And even McCabe has got, another 2 years after this at 5-something?
Yeah. Where is he not on cap friendly?
He might be on, is he under the injured part? But, no, he's another guy
3 years left at 4.
Yeah. So, again, those are $4 million for defensive veteran defensemen is a really good deal.
Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to win a cup. If you're a team, like Toronto that still has visions of winning multiple cups. I mean, you got to get out of the first round first, but
that would help.
If they prove, Albert Einstein's theory, was it Albert Einstein had the definition of insanity?
I don't know.
No, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. They're going to try and prove that theory wrong, but who wouldn't want a guy like that for a couple years, a veteran guy on an up-and-coming team? Problem with both of those guys is they've had their issues staying on the ice. And that's a product of the way they play the game.
Right.
I mean, Connor Murphy is not afraid to mix it up. He's not afraid to finish his checks, and it takes his toll on him. So, but those are definitely two guys that we could keep our eye on. I'm kind of surprised maybe one of them didn't get moved in the off season, but again, both of those guys, especially Murphy, has not proven he's recovered from that injury last year. We didn't get to see him, but he was at practice today.
Yes, he did practice
today.
He
just missed yesterday, non-injury. One of his billet parents from when he was in juniors passed away, so he took a personal time to attend to those matters, which is, hard to be upset about that.
Yeah, of course.
But he was back today and practicing. We only got to see the first session and go in the locker room and come back here to talk to all you fine folks from in the chat, including we see Christy watching from Boston. Wit and astute commentary. You obviously are a first-time watcher. We don't have a ton of that, but you picked the right day apparently. But welcome. Thanks for checking in amongst the land of Bruins fans.
Yep. And then Noah Roy's Just Rage Again says, on Thursday, did Kyle Davidson hint that the Hawks are open for trading and taking on bad contracts for picks and prospects? He did. I do think that's a possibility. I don't know if he's really looking to bring in any more roster players, but maybe Brent Seabrook could find his way back to Chicago.
Hey, it's a tradition like no other with the Blackhawks. Bring back guys from the Cup era. But
Brent Seabrook is now the size of me and Greg, so I don't think he'll be playing.
Combined.
Filed under least surprising things ever. Brent Seabrook chunked up after retirement.
Good for him, man. He earned it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Every single one of those plates of potato skins he's chucking down today. Davidson was asked that very specific question and said there's nothing on the table, but he is definitely open to anything. And listen, he's in the position where he should be open and answer that phone every time it rings.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I could see them doing that again in the future.
And the other thing too about moving Murphy or McCabe, I think that's all really going to depend on what the young guys show, right? Like if suddenly Phillips and Mitchell and all these young defensemen you have in Rockford are suddenly ready for the NHL, that's going to accelerate that thing. And if they're not, there's really no harm in hanging on to McCabe or Murphy for another offseason. Or even, they become draft trade chips where trade chips seem to get more value at the draft than they do at the trade deadline. So the nice thing about being in a rebuild is there's no rush for Davidson to really do anything aside from those guys with expiring contracts, Taves and Kane. And again, he's at their mercy. I know Mario's got a piece coming out on that soon. So aside from those two, there's really not really any urgency. If someone wants to call him and say, hey, we're going to give you a first-round pick plus for Connor Murphy, great.
Right.
Let's do it. You know what I mean? And find yourself a veteran defenseman in free agency or elsewhere, or make it part of the trade back just to have a roster spot if you don't feel the kid's are ready. But he can take his time with this thing. It's a really nice place for Davidson to be in.
For sure. And we're talking about the taking out of bad contracts. Blackhawks could be that third team.
Oh, yeah.
I would see that being a more of a possibility at this deadline, where they're not necessarily taking on a bad contract, but they're the team that takes on half of a salary cap retention for a prospect or a pick. I could see them being, the old third man in, as used to be a penalty for that. Wasn't that a hockey site? Third man in.
Third man in. I think so. Yeah. That sounds right.
But they could be that. They could definitely be that. The options are literally limitless.
Yeah.
For Kyle Davidson going forward, which is kind of exciting. If certain other people had the limitless options, I'd be worried. I'm not necessarily
right.
I'm not worried with Kyle Davidson at this point. He hasn't done anything for me to start shouting at clouds yet. So yet he still could, but so far so good.
Yeah, I mean the first hour of draft night, we had some cloud shouting happening.
Well, you guys did.
We did, yes.
I was the rational one,
as always.
And when I'm the rational one, things are weird.
Speaking of going outside and shouting at clouds, for those that missed it, shirtless dart guy has become aware of CHGO.
Yes.
Our very own Sean Anderson was out on the deck yesterday, and shirtless dart guy was shouting to Sean, "Are you guys doing podcasts over there?" And I think Sean must have gotten starstruck and kind of said, "Yep," and then ran off. Should have brought him in for a feature or something.
Well, he's aware of not only that we do podcasts here, but he's aware it's of CHGO. So if you're watching shirtless dart guy who's wearing a zip up today, it's a little chilly.
He's got a shirt on.
Feel free to hop across the alley, and we got plenty of chairs. I want to interview him.
And let's talk about his parking spot. Perhaps he has one that we can negotiate from him.
I always thought he was, going to happened to be listening to CHGO because he was a fan, and then he's like, who's this idiot that's smoking darts all the time? And then he's like, wait a minute, like
that's me.
That sounds a lot like me.
West Loop Studios, like, oh my God, that's me, right? Like, and then that's finally somebody clued him off on it last night. Like, by the way, the guy they're talking about is you, and he's like, what? He's like, goes out on his balcony, waits for somebody to come out, and he's like, I can't believe it.
Yeah, he's a star.
He's got that Charlie Day meme with all the strings.
Yes,
he's like, who's? I can't believe it. Like, yeah, if you ever
right, it's me.
No spoiler alert, but if you've ever seen the movie Black Phone with Ethan Hawke, there's a scene where a character realizes, holy crap, it's the guy living in my basement.
Yeah,
we do have a super chat here also from Brandon.
Yes,
he says, "Sorry, I'm going to make the big Dave super chat sound effect." What did y'all think about Gutman prospect?
Like him. He has been effective. When Anders Sorensen, I almost said Arvid Soderblom. I'm going to mix those two up all year. Anders Sorensen was asked about him after the development Tom Curver's games because he scored in both games, and he is an older prospect. He's got championship experience at Denver. He's a guy who, if you're looking for a prospect to come in right away and maybe win a job, it could be him. I don't know how high his ceiling is, but when you talk about, I said this the other day, like your Ben Smith, Tanner Caro, those type of guys with the college experience. John Hayden is another one like that to come in and fill out your bottom six without huge expectations upward. He's a guy that can do it. He was a draft pick of the Lightning. He never made it to the team. I don't think he ever signed a contract there, and then became a free agent last year, so the Hawks scooped him up. And I talked to him the other day, and he mentioned how he really jumped at the chance to come to Chicago because of their reputation for developing. And I know there's probably a lot of Hawks fans that are kind of like chuckling at that because it feels like they don't develop very well. But in terms of resources for a prospect, number of trainers, number of coaches, facilities, all those sort of things are very appealing to prospects who have say on where they go. And that's why Cole Gutman is here. And I do think if we're sort of handicapping a veteran forward to make a veteran prospect, I guess you'd call him, to make the team out of camp, he might be one of the favorites.
Yeah, we had talked the other day. Someone asked us in the chat who from the prospect showcase or prospect pool could be a surprise addition to the opening night roster, and you picked Cole Gutman. And listen, I think he could have signed anywhere he wanted to, and he came here because he probably thought that this would be his best opportunity to make an NHL roster. So and the coaching, he turned heads at the Curvers / Culver's prospect showcase. He was a guy that goes right to the net, plays in between the dots, and that's what you want. And he's got an opportunity to make this team. There's no doubt. You look at the bottom 6 of this roster, arguably bottom 9 of this roster. Yeah. It's wide open. So if you play hard in front of Luke Richardson and you do the little things, the not non-glamorous parts of the game, you're willing to do that with a smile on your face, Luke Richardson's going to play you. Speaking
of him, Tracy Myers wrote a really nice piece on him today. Got a lot of good comments from former coaches or people he coached with and coached, for before he came to Chicago. Make sure you check that out. Lots of good info from that. He was again skating in the conditioning drills with the team today. He's right there. And you talk about Gutman and a lot of these prospects. It's a clean slate, and it goes both ways. Like I think there's a lot of guys who maybe were penciling in for roster spots, and one guy I want to talk to you about, Greg, that we talked about during camp today was Mackenzie Entwistle. It's a guy I just don't have a feel for. I don't know if he's ever going to get better than he is now. I don't know if the organization really likes him or if he's just a guy. It's really hard to get a read on Mackenzie Entwistle and a couple others, like Mike Hardman's the same way. Like 2 years ago, you thought, hey, this guy, he's going to be around a lot. Then he's just not. All these guys have to set a first impression with Luke Richardson. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these preseason games play out. But it's hard to project 2 days into camp and just having, prospects showcase. But, Sorensen really likes Gutman, pointed out specifically his ability to find the right places on the ice, to be dependable, to know where to be, and just having a knack for, good hockey sense. I think he's got a solid shot because I don't think they're married to any of these bottom 9 guys.
No, I don't think so. To be honest with you, I challenge any and all Blackhawk fans. If Mike Hardman and Mackenzie Entwistle swap jerseys for a game, would you notice? Would you know the difference? Would you be like, oh, why are these two guys wearing each other's jersey? So, yeah, there's a lot of repetitiveness on that bottom 6 right now.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the same thing. Like the only guy I would really think, like the guys that I would say, yeah, they'll be on the opening night roster are the guys that Davidson gave new contracts to.
Right.
Sam Lafferty.
Yep.
Future captain Reese Johnson. So I actually had our guy, Charlie the Baking Guy, ask me yesterday on Twitter saying, shout out to Charlie. I need to talk to you for some bacon. Asked me, I know it's not Mailbag Monday, but who do you think? He said, is the next captain of this organization already on the team? If so, who is it? And my answer was, well, it's either Seth Jones or he's not here yet.
I'm really interested to see the Jones situation this year. I feel like for a guy as high profile as he was, or as he is, as highly paid as he is, he was really like a periphery part of the team last year. And it's hard to judge because it was a COVID year and the organization would just bring players out they felt like bringing. So it wasn't the open locker room situation where you could just talk to whoever. I'd like to hear from him. I think when camp opens, Seth Jones should be one of the people we're talking to.
Yeah.
Right? And he just has not been available. I don't think aside from on the ice, I've seen him in a locker room at all. Not that I'm not being critical. He's not hiding or anything. He was with Group A today, so he wasn't ready to practice yet. But I'm hoping this year Seth Jones becomes more of a visible leader. And part of it might be last year he's the new guy. There's already established leadership here. But now, second year of a huge contract, the big money is kicked in. I really want to see Seth Jones jump into a leadership role. And it doesn't mean he's got to be the new Brent Seabrook, the rah-rah guy, slapping butts and giving high fives as the team heads the locker room. But I want to hear from him after games. I want to see him at the podium. I want Seth Jones to be a face of this organization.
He was out a couple of times last year. Granted, we jumped on the beat way late in the season. But we talked to him at least once or twice after a game and after a morning skate. So they made him available from time to time. But again, last year was so weird because you literally talked to two guys, and it was whoever the Hawks chose. So, it was tough. So hopefully this year with the access, I'd love to have I'd love to have anybody on the team sit here with us, but Seth Jones is on the top of my list. I want to be able to have him here for an entire show in studio. I think he's that type of guy that, I love that we were able to have Kobe Cohen in here and Chris Voster's in here because those are guys who are in tough situations with the fans.
Yeah.
And to get them in here and to just have them hang out and be dudes and just talk to us and get to know them as a person, not just the man behind the microphone or the man in front of the camera. Realize that, hey, they've been busting their ass to get here just like everybody else. I think Seth Jones could use that too. He's been put in a tough situation because of, people don't like the contract. People don't like what we traded to get him. All of that stuff is out of his control. And I think getting him in here for a half hour or a full hour, just hanging out and chatting, I think he could win some people over that are just want to bitch and moan about his contract.
One thing I've always believed, and this is something I used to argue with the PR staffs of teams when I was working at the Score, is it's never a bad idea to make your players available because it's goodwill. When fans hear from people and realize they're human beings with thoughts and feelings and emotions and all those things, it buys those people, maybe credibility is the wrong word, but it buys them a little bit of sympathy from the fan base. And when the fans feel like they know somebody, they're more likely to forgive them. I think when you look at, let's think about the Bears, right? What kind of personality did Jay Cutler put forth towards the fans, right? Didn't care, didn't want to be there, no interest.
Confirmed pudwhack.
Yeah, right. And
classify him as.
So anytime he would make a mistake, people were all over him. But Mitch Trubisky was a little more friendly, so he got a little more slack. And you think about Charles Tillman was always vocal, always out there, always able to be seen and heard. So that stuff, it goes a really long way. And I know the players don't like doing it. I get that. I know they don't want to be interviewed. They don't want to be put in bad situations. And look, honest to God, for a player to walk in here would probably be a little intimidating, seeing the whole set. They don't really know us, and you feel like you're kind of in a hostage situation because you don't know what question's coming next. But we're not here to screw anybody. We're not here to trick anybody into saying anything stupid. We just want to get to know these guys a little bit, learn what makes them tick. And I think that there's a lot of value in that. And I think the Hawks get that more than anybody. At the same time, the Hawks probably need it more than the other teams in town. So they're a little more, helpful in that way.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool to build that relationship with them as this rebuild goes up. They need an outlet for fans to get to know these guys as they come in, especially these younger players, these role guys, the guys that aren't superstars. The teams are much more easy to cheer for and interesting when you get to know them on a personal level. So we're here for it. Let's.
You know who I would love to have in here? Seth Jones, of course, one of them. Max Domi. I would love to talk to him about his journey through hockey, being the son of a well, not a great hockey player, but a very famous hockey player.
Infamous.
That's more than famous.
Yes.
Infamous hockey player in Ty Domi. His decision to come here simply because Luke Richardson was the coach. There is so much I would love to ask Max Domi.
And he's got the personality, too.
Yeah.
He's a great quote, great interview. I think he'd do it.
By the way, speaking of that, Narfin earlier in the chat asked me if we got any info on Peter Mrazek's helmet yet. No, but look on our social medias coming up. We're going to do a feature where we highlight all the goalies' helmets on the Blackhawks. I was able to talk to Alex Stalock today, and he told us about his new mask design. Seems like a great dude, by the way.
Yeah, very cool. We look forward to talking to him a lot this year.
Yeah, be looking for that video on our social media coming up. Make sure you're following us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter at CHGO Sports. Look for those YouTube shorts. Those are kind of the new thing, too. So it'll be there. Good stuff. And Alex Stalock's helmet is pretty sweet.
Can you salute your YouTube shorts?
I think you can.
That's
Fly him up the flagpole. Donkey lips.
Yeah,
they'll do it. Love that show.
I knew you'd get that reference.
Yeah, of course. I'm a
our
guy.
Our third partner would have no idea what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Joey,
it's
probably
old man
has no
hour.
idea
That's
what
why
we're
we
talking
sent
about.
Mario
Nope.
home.
Joey's shaking his head like, whatever, Grandpa, just get on with it.
Yeah, but in terms of Jones being the next captain, you're right. I don't know who else it would be.
Right. That's why it's either him or somebody that's not here, unless, at the end of this season, Taves moves on or retires and Kane re-signs, well, then maybe you put the C on Patrick Kane.
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So other than that,
Didn't the Red Wings for a while do the thing like when Yzerman retired? Lidstrom took over right away, didn't he?
Yeah.
Some team did that where they were captainless it was the Hawks.
The Hawks, yeah.
After Chelios retired.
Yeah.
There was no captain for a while.
And then a couple teams have done that. The Maple Leafs did that for at least one season.
After Sundin?
It was more recent than that because they didn't have a captain until Tavares signed, I think. So they may have gone 1 or 2 seasons without a captain. It happens. The Sharks did it a couple years ago when they took it away from Joe Thornton and didn't give it to anybody.
Yeah, it was weird.
That was very weird. But the Sharks are very weird. They're a strange school of fish out there. They're not fish, but you know what I mean. Yeah, it's happened, but I think if Taves is gone next year, but Kane is here, then that's the easy call right there with the C on Patrick Kane's jersey, which is something 10 years ago you would have been like, that would never happen. But he's certainly embraced being a veteran and being the mentor kind of guy. And I've said it before, basically through all that stuff last year and probably all the trade stuff this year, if you would have told me 10 years ago that, Patrick Kane has been handling that sort of thing in the media better than Jonathan Taves, I'd have been like, you're crazy. But he's kind of got the better thumb on the pulse of saying the right thing at the right time.
Well, the cynic, which I am not, but he's got more practice. He's got more crisis training.
This is true, too.
Than Jonathan Taves
Unfortunately, yes, he does have more experience in having the spin situations. So,
yeah.
I guess you're right. Yeah.
But look, all we can go by is what's happened recently, and he has done, at least on the ice, he has grown as a leader, and hopefully as a person off. We don't know. We don't know Patrick Kane, but
no,
he has stayed out of trouble.
Yeah.
Great.
It's all you.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
For your ceasing pudwhackdom. Got another super chat from Brandon. Thank you. He says, I'd love to see Seth and Caleb Jones both come on the show. Sure.
Yeah.
Bring all the Joneses in.
Listen, if you are a Blackhawks player, coach, broadcaster, beer vendor, we'll take you. Come on down. We're right down the street. We got plenty of space for you. We'd love to have as many players as possible. We're working on it.
Let's do it like a line at a time.
Yeah, get the whole line.
Yeah, get the whole line in here and equipment and everything. Just get this place smelling really good. That would be great.
The locker room was smelling much better today than it did at Prospect Camp.
Well, you got the pros that can afford new gear every year,
and the ones that the 18-year-olds that think it's cool to smell like a pile of dog crap were gone. It was replaced by adults.
Adult crap.
Who know how to properly Febreze the inside of their equipment.
Yes, it was much more pleasant in there today. All right, we heard from Jujhar Khaira as well. Want to play that audio, but first, we are a little bit behind on our live reads. Sorry, Jake, quit yelling at us. It's football season, if you have not noticed that. PointsBet is bringing you a better way to bet live on games, which means before this ad is over, you can place a live same-game parlay, bet on a next drive to be a touchdown, and cash out your live second-half over bet. With PointsBet, you have access to more live football markets than ever before. Build the perfect live same-game parlay. Combine your favorite bets any time during the game, including spreads, totals, player props, and more. Choose the outcome of the next drive and next points with PointsBet Lightning Bets. So whether you're on the move or on the couch, do it live on PointsBet. Download the PointsBet app today. When you do, sign up with code CHGO to get your first 2 bets risk-free up to $2,000. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER for crisis counseling and referral services.
And what's more fun than betting on your favorite sporting event? It's attending your favorite sporting event. What's even better than that is sitting in the best seats possible while saving a butt ton of money. That's not actually on the read, but that's my own word.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of money. But if you want to save tickets on all the best seats for your favorite sporting events, concerts, and shows, you need to check out our friends over at Game Time Tickets. They are the hottest new ticketing site, and they make it easier than ever to score the best deal on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows. If you ever dreamed of sitting right at center ice, just off the glass at the United Center, well, Game Time can make it happen, and for a lot less than you think. They've got some great deals. We were scrolling through their site the other day. Everything is just rock bottom prices, except for a couple of the games.
Want to go to a Sox game for $1?
I think at this point they will pay you to go to the Sox game, which is a great deal. You can see what heavy metal singer throws out the first pitch tomorrow. But if you love CHGO, and you should be because you're here watching us, and we appreciate it, and we love you,
right?
Then you'll love Game Time. And the best way to support us is buying the tickets through your events by clicking on the link in the description. So for those of you enjoying the YouTube broadcast, scroll down, and on your way to scrolling down, smash that like button. Then you will find the link right there to buy your Blackhawk tickets. Click on that link, buy your tickets, help us out. You can also see that link if you're listening to the audio-only versions. You'll see it in the podcast descriptions as well. Join over 15 million people who have downloaded the Game Time app and scored the best seats for all your favorite events. And heck, buy yourself some tickets to that Chicago-Houston professional football contest that's happening this Sunday. Because then you can go to the game after you hang out with all of us at CHGO Sports at the official CHGO tailgate from 8 a.m. all the way to kickoff in the parking lot right at Roosevelt and Michigan. Head on over to allchgo.com and click on the banner there. You could also find the link in the podcast descriptions as well. $34 gets you a ticket into the tailgate party. It doesn't give you a parking spot. You can purchase a parking spot as well for a little more money, but $34 gets you 4 hours of all you can eat, all you can drink. We're going to have a DJ game. It's going to be a ton of fun. I think we're both going to be there. I believe Mario is going to be there. I think nearly all the CHGO staff is going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. So
Shirtless Dark Guy is going to come?
Yes, he is. He gave me his $34 earlier.
Got him a pack of Marlboro Reds to come on out.
I got him a ticket and a CHGO shirt because it's going to be a little chilly at 8 a.m. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be our first one. We're going to have many more throughout the season, but come on out, say hello, hang out with us. We're looking forward to chatting with all of our Bears fans that come on out.
Yeah. Cannot wait. That's going to be a lot of fun.
It is.
Especially if the weather's like today. Today is perfect.
Yeah.
As I was walking down Monroe from the doggy park to CHGO, I was like, bottle this up.
Yeah. I'll take it.
Beautiful. Absolutely perfect day today. All right. You may remember last year, Jujhar Khaira got a huge hit at the hands of Jacob Trouba of the New York Rangers and was stretchered off the ice.
Confirmed Pudwack.
Confirmed Pudwack, yes. And he spoke today. He practiced in full, but updated the media on his status. So, Joey, let's fire that up and hear what Jujhar Khaira had to say.
I don't remember if we got to talk to you after the hit, before the back surgery, but just, I guess, what do you remember from that moment and how scary was that for you?
I remember it all. Obviously, I've seen the clip now, and you kind of paint the picture. And Yeah, it sucked. It's never where you want to be, and that you never want to be in that situation. But again, it's happened, and that's in the past now, and I'm just looking forward to the future here.
Did you talk to Trouba after the fact, or?
Yeah, he reached out and sent me a message, and then I responded, and that was it.
Did you chalk it up to like that's just hockey, or was it any kind of like a scary moment for you?
Well, I mean, it is hockey. I mean, it's happened before. You've seen other guys go through it. It's the ugly part of hockey, but there's always the potential for that to happen, and that was the case for me. So it's the game we all signed up for, and it's a game I still want to play. So.
Did you have a problem with the hit itself? Did you feel like it was dirty?
I mean, we all have our opinions. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, we all have our opinions on the hit, and that's it.
The back injury, was that something you dealt with for a while, or did it just kind of come up in January or February or whenever that was?
I think I played through it for a little bit. It's one of those things where I think it happens over time. It doesn't just happen. So it got to a point where I thought it was smarter to do that and then continue to play on it. So now looking back and where I'm at now, I'm glad I did it when I did it, and I'm healthy for this season, and that's all I can ask for right now.
Was it a tough road getting healthy again, or did you feel right?
No, it was a tough road. I mean, I think like anything, we're so used to being, in shape and just well conditioned and all that, and you have to take a month off or whatever to let it heal up before you can start slowly getting into exercises where mentally you think you should be able to do. So it was hard, but it was something that I knew going into it. That's what I had to do. So I was ready for it.
Did you have a full off season, or were you pretty much recovered by June or May, or cut into it?
Yeah, I had a full off season. It was just kind of like roadblocks. I would get to a certain point, and then I'd have to battle through it for a week, and then I'd take another step forward, and then get through that, and then another step forward. So it was never anything where I took a couple steps back or anything. It was always steps forward, and some maybe took a little bit longer than others, but like I said, it was what I expected and what I knew I had to go through.
What kind of a relief is it that this year is kind of an opportunity just for a clean slate?
There's nothing better, I think. Last year was an injury-riddled year for me, and coming here, being healthy, and being able to compete with my teammates and against the best players in the world, I think it's something I've always wanted to do, and you never want to sit on the sideline. So when you get a chance to get back at it, it really shows you how much it's worth it.
It seems like there'll probably be
healthy on the ice. I got to say, without the beard, he looks 25 years younger.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was him.
It's crazy.
Until I looked up at the nameplate. Yeah, somebody after the scrum, somebody had chirped in, like, when did you shave the beard? And he's like, oh, it's for picture day. And I think John Steinmiller, that had a PR for the Hawks, was like, and when are you going to shave again? He was like, not till after the season. So the beard will be back, I'm sure. When you can grow a thick, manly beard like him, why wouldn't you?
We could see it was almost like back during the interview.
Oh yeah, I mean, he shaved 13 hours ago, and he already had a thicker beard than I have, and I've had this thing for months. So yeah, good to see him. I kind of got a kick out of, hey, can you say something bad about Jacob Trouba? Because
here's your chance.
You want to. I know you want to. Go ahead. We won't tell him, but he kept it professional. Jacob Trouba is a guy that walks that line, and one day karma is going to take a crap on his head, and I will be there to cheer it on. Now, I'm not a fan of Jacob Trouba. I think the hit on Jujhar Khaira was pointless. It didn't need to be made, and his very next game, he did it to somebody. I think it was on the Avalanche. Was it McKinnon he hit? There were a couple times in the playoffs where he was lining up, like he looks for guys. Now, yes, you should not be skating with your head down. Right. But you'd also not be targeting guys with their head down.
Right.
And he's got that kind of, and you know what? he's never going to learn because he's never got fined or suspended for any of these plays, never got even penalties, and then the New York Rangers make him captain. So he's being rewarded for his shitheadedness
Yeah, I mean,
on the ice.
look,
and that's another reason I will not root for the Rangers.
Guys that play physical, a hit or two during the course of your career will happen that way just because it's the nature of the game. As Khaira was trying to say and maybe trying to give Trouba the benefit of the doubt, even though when he's basically said, we all have our opinions, we know what he thought, truly, right? Those things are going to happen when you play physical. But when it becomes a pattern with a guy, that's different.
The very next game.
Yes. Like you look at him and you look at Tom Wilson and you look at guys like that who just have a history of these bad hits. That's not by accident. Jacob Trouba is a really, really good hockey player.
Yes.
So is Tom Wilson. They can control their bodies. They can control their skates. They know how and when they're going to hit somebody. And if you can deliver a hit that devastating, you can certainly pull back on it a little bit too, right? And it becomes a point of like you're risking someone's not only career, but let's be honest, life.
Yeah.
And well-being, right? Like now what we know about concussions, Jujhar Khaira the last third of his life might be miserable for him. We talk about Jonathan Toews all the time, how many concussions he's gone through. What is that going to do for his quality of life, right? And players know this now. And yeah, you're competing. And yeah, you want to win the game. And yeah, you want to win a Stanley Cup. But, knocking a guy down and injuring someone, you can control that. You can control it. Yeah, sometimes there are accidental collisions. What Trouba did to Khaira was not accidental.
No.
It was a violent hit on purpose. And look, no better example of a guy that played that way in Chicago than Chris Chelios. And would Chris Chelios cross the line sometimes after plays, throw a punch, cheap shot, little slash here and there? Absolutely. But you never saw Chris Chelios try to kill anybody on the ice, right? And that just shows you when you're that high of a caliber of a player, you have control over those things. And I do think Trouba could certainly, more often than not, probably control the outcome of those hits a little bit.
Yeah, just because you can take advantage of somebody in a vulnerable position doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of looking forward to the first time the Hawks play the Rangers. Hopefully, Khaira is on the ice, and maybe he cashes. I'm sure he still has the receipt from that hit.
Yep.
So hopefully he cashes it in, and hopefully Trouba doesn't turtle or run from it, and just take your lumps and move on.
Yeah, it's one thing I do know about this Hawks team, from what we've seen in training camp and what we've seen in development camp, they're not going to be pushovers this year. They're going to stand up for each other. I do think often that your team resembles your coach, right? You look at Joel Quenneville, the way he was as a player, not as accomplished as Luke Richardson, but a good, hard-nosed defenseman. Luke Richardson, tough as nails, that dude. Played hard, played tons of games, played in big playoff. Like, Luke Richardson has seen it all and was always known as a tough guy. And I think that this team is going to take on that identity a little bit of his team, and you are not going to see look, it's going to happen here and there, but I don't think you're going to see teams take a lot of liberties with the Blackhawks this year.
No. Richardson was not a dirty player, but he was a guy that, when need be, would get in the muck.
Yep.
And he's got scars on his face and a cauliflower ear for a reason. He didn't get that from taking shots from above the dots. So yeah, you're right. The Hawks won't be. You could argue that. Yeah, you saw that with Colleton. Colleton, nobody was gonna jump on a live hand grenade for him, and to a degree, Derek King. Derek King, long NHL career, very productive NHL career, but he'd rather tell you a joke than yell at you.
Right.
So now you got Luke Richardson, who's got that presence when he walks into a room.
Yep.
Something that Derek King, when he was with us last year, admitted, I don't have that. I need to get that. Luke Richardson walks into a room, and you're captivated. You're like, this guy's in charge.
Yep.
And
just watching him on the ice, there is a presence about him.
Yeah.
And again, I recommend reading Tracy Meyer's piece today for NHL.com, where people talk about that presence. And what they talk about, too, is how fair he is as a coach. You do what you're expected to do. You play hard. You're going to play. And Richardson in the piece himself says, I'm going to come in every day like hitting a reset button. I'm not going to hold a grudge. I'm not going to be pissy and moany and all those sort of things. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this team responds to Luke Richardson this year. And what we've seen so far, 2 days of camp, prospects camp, it's been really, really good. By the way, we're talking about Seth Jones. He's talking right now. Or talked a few minutes ago. Ben Pope has this quote from Seth Jones. It was a little on the Blackhawks rebuild. Quote, "It was a little frustrating to see at first. It's not really what I or anybody had in mind looking back a couple of years, but I don't have any regrets for my decision. I look at it as an opportunity to become a better player." Then he talked about Luke Richardson's conditioning. He's up on the bike at like 6:30 a.m., 7 a.m. every day, just sweating when you're coming in and warming up. He's definitely going to lead by example. So there you go. There's your veteran leadership commenting on Luke Richardson's commitment to his own conditioning and setting an example for the team. But interesting to see. I think Jones acknowledging that the rebuild was tough to see. I know it's not a positive thing to say, but he's being real and he's being out front, and I want to see more of that from him this year.
Yeah,
I want to hear from Seth Jones more often.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a good start.
This is a guy that got acquired and then signed the big contract here when he should not be named, was trying to make one last push at a playoff team. It was Seth Jones, and then a few days later, Marc-Andre Fleury's here, and Jake McCabe was signed, and it was like, okay, like I'm coming to a team that's trying to compete.
Yep,
that's what I want. And then the season started.
Yeah, right.
And then the wheels fell off, and then those wheels were lit on fire and fell off again. And just, it was, I imagine a guy like that is just so happy that it's a new season. It's a new coach. It's a new everything. And he's got the right attitude so far by that quote. And I'm expecting a big year from him. And not that he had a bad year last year. He had a career year in assists and did everything you wanted him to do, played all the tough minutes, played against the top lines of the other teams, just didn't have those goals that you were hoping for. I'm thinking there would be a bounce back this year. I'm looking.
Yeah. A power play goal or two?
That'd be nice.
We should do
start at one. Let's not greedy. One is more than zero.
I think before the season starts, we should set some overs and unders for goals and assists for different guys. And
we can have a fun. We can have a fun show like that we can keep on file and then watch, revisit at the end of the year and see how terribly wrong we all were. I'm awful at those things. I did that last year before last season, and I admit it. When I'm wrong, I'll own it. I picked Dominic Kubalik to lead the Blackhawks in goals last year.
That didn't work out.
No, and certain people remind me of that fact all the time on Twitter. Not my greatest pick, but everybody was DeBrincat Kane. I'm going to be the different guy.
Yeah. If you're right, you look really smart.
Right.
And if you're wrong, you just go, I took a shot.
That's what you get for listening to me.
Yeah, exactly. Tom says you guys should get Tracy Myers on the show. She's really good. We will try to do that. Training camp will be tough because we have to come back midway through.
Right.
And the people on the beat have to stay, obviously, for the second half. So during the year, we'd love to get Tracy on.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of hers.
Yep.
Now she's one of the people that I was super looking forward to being able to be on the beat with. She's a pro, great at her job. We'd love to have her on. We'll mention it to her. Tomorrow or Monday to maybe one of those days that there's a morning practice but no game. She can follow us over here and we'll talk hockey with her. That'd be great.
All right, before we wrap up, Greg's going to tell you about pins and aces, but this is a good reminder. Make sure you join us at our CHGO Bears tailgate on Sunday. Go to allchgo.com to get your tickets.
Well, I know we got a hockey crowd here, and hockey players and hockey fans are also avid golfers.
Seems that way.
Not me, but a lot of other people. I'm not the biggest golfer in the world, but if I were to go out on, say, maybe a future CHGO golf outing next summer, I would be heading over to our pals at Pins and Aces, as they are the official golf apparel partner of CHGO. You are going to love the way you look in their gear, and you're going to get a ton of compliments while on the course. You may not get compliments on your short game, but you're going to get compliments on your polos. They are a family-owned golf and apparel business. They make amazing polos, hats, golf bags, And they even have a beer sleeve, an innovative product that allows you to store 7, forget your wimpy 6-pack, 7 beers right there inside your golf bag that keep your drinks cold the entire round. Now, you're not going to have much of a problem keeping your drinks cold from here on out, but next summer, you're going to want that Pins and Aces beer sleeve and keep 7 beers cold in your bag. I think you can play a whole round on 7 beers.
I can.
So check out pinsandaces.com, and as a special bonus to our adored CHGO listeners, if you use the promo code CHGO at checkout, you are going to receive 15% off your first order and get free shipping. That's free, no money, and that's at pinsandaces.com.
Nice. All right, before we wrap up, some stuff to know. Monday, we are here, 1:30 p.m. in our West Loop studios. Tuesday is our first post-game of the year. Cannot wait for that. Next Sunday, not this coming, the following Sunday, is the game in Milwaukee. The 3 of us are going. We're going to find a place to do a little pregame get-together. So if you're heading out to Milwaukee, keep it tuned to CHGO Blackhawks to find out exactly where we're going to be to meet up before the game. We're going to go and report on the game, so we will not be partaking in the beverages, but maybe we'll buy a couple beers for the CHGO folks to come out.
I will buy all the water and Diet Coke so people can drink.
There you go. So come on out and join us. We'll give you some more info on that as we sort of solidify which place is closest to the arena, we can accommodate us, whatever. So if you're going to Milwaukee, make those plans to get there early. We're probably going to be there around 4, I would think. So
6:30 puck drop, hang out to about 5:30, 6, head over to the arena.
Yeah, so
it'll be fun.
If you're planning on it, make us part of your plans as well. Come hang out with Greg, Mario, and me in Milwaukee. So Monday show, Tuesday post game. Cannot wait for Tuesday. It's going to be awesome. So
Tuesday
thanks for
and Wednesday.
Back to back
post games.
And Joey, did I see? I hate to jump this on you. Do you still have the Game Time website open? I swear to God, I saw $3 tickets to the Red Wings game in the preseason. There, let me see. Game 2. Does that say $3+?
$3.
$3.
You can go
tickets.
see the Hawks Red Wings preseason for $3.
$3.
That's in the 200 level. 200 level tickets for $3.
Dudes, you have to go right now.
Click on the link in the YouTube. Look at that.
Ton. Use our link in YouTube.
Go one of the 200 level for $8.
100 level for $13. Yeah. Let's go. Get on that Game Time app. Buy those tickets. Make sure you get the link from our descriptions, either on the podcast or on the YouTube page. Go see Hawks Red Wings from the club level for $3.
Break a 5. Go to a game.
Yeah, seriously. That's where you go. Game Time is the place to be. But get in the habit when you check Game Time to use the links in our bios. That's how you help us out in our descriptions, rather. Podcast and YouTube. Jump in there every time you want to make a purchase on Game Time. That's how you help out CHGO. So we're going to wrap it up. For Joey, for Greg, for Shirtless Dart Guy, I'm Jay Zawaski. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you Monday on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.